Hey guys, so today we're going to be playing around with the brand new CLE De Peau Radiant Fluid Foundation Matte, and it has an SPF 20. If you guys have watched any of my videos over the past month, I have been trying to find like a matte foundation that works for dry, more mature skin. I've tried the Tom Ford, I think it's called the Traceless Soft Matte Foundation, and I've tried the NARS Soft, they can't have the same name. Anyway, I've tried one from Tom Ford, one from NARS. Neither of those have worked for me. So since those two foundations didn't work for me, I feel like I'm on this mission to find a matte foundation that works for dry skin types. So today we're gonna give this CLE De Peau one a try. So they sent two over to me, 010 and 020. So in some of their foundations I'm 020 and some of their foundations I'm 010. So I'm glad they sent both over to me. They also sent over 3 of their brushes. So they have a high coverage foundation brush, a light coverage foundation brush, and a concealer brush. They did also send over their radiant corrector for eyes in light ivory, and I actually have this and it's getting a little bit old, so I think I'll be using this brand new one and getting rid of my old one. All right, let me open these up, and I'm on their website and I can give you some info here. So it's a soft matte liquid foundation that combines a radiant finish with long-term skincare benefits to smooth and refine skin while minimizing the appearance of visible pores. Let's see, it gives the skin an 8-hour hydration boost. It diminishes the visibility of pores and roughness after 2 weeks, provides comfortable 24-hour wear that resists creasing and dullness. Sounds good to me. It is $130 for 35 mils, which is just over 1 ounce. And there are 24 shades. And the active SPF in here is a physical sunscreen. So it's not a chemical sunscreen, it is a physical sunscreen. And it's titanium dioxide, it's 6.6%. So I'm just glancing quickly at the ingredient list. Oh, there's hydrolyzed silk in here. And, oh, I do see alcohol pretty far down on the list. So if that's something that you're not into, that bothers your skin, whatever the case is, just be aware that this does have alcohol in there. All right, so I'm gonna start with the lighter shade, which is 010. And wow, this is a really big, beautiful bottle. And I'm going to shake it up since it is a liquid foundation. And there is a pump at the top, and the texture of this, it's a little bit runny. You can see it running down my hand. So that is 010. And I'm gonna put it right here. And it does have that CLE De Peau fragrance. It's that like light rose kind of floral fragrance. And then here is 020. So there is 020. I see just a hint more warmth in that one. All right, I'm gonna let those kind of dry down a little bit, and then we'll see which one is a better match for me. All right, and while these are drying down, I'm gonna open up these brushes. I'm very curious as to how these brushes are different and what makes one high coverage and what makes one light coverage. Ooh, these are cool looking. Okay, so here is the high coverage brush. So there's a little bit of thickness to it. It's angled. And here is the light coverage brush, which looks more like a paddle brush. Interesting. I generally like a light coverage, and I generally am not the biggest fan of foundation brushes like this. I really like ones that have some surface area to them so I can kind of like buff the product in. So I think I'm gonna go with the high coverage brush. And these are synthetic haired brushes. All right, so yeah, the 020 definitely is warmer. It has a peachier kind of tinge to it. I'm gonna try and zoom in here. Hopefully you guys can see. So I think 010 is definitely a better match down here in the bottom half of my face. And then I think I'll use a little bit of 020 on my forehead since that's so much warmer and deeper compared to the rest of my face. So I have skincare down, but no primer. So we're just gonna go right in with the foundation. So I'm gonna use the 010 on this part of my face, and I've got the high coverage foundation brush. I'm just going in on the back of my hand and just applying it. If you don't like fragrance, you're not gonna like this foundation. I can smell the CLE De Peau like rose scent, which I happen to enjoy. I would prefer no fragrance, but there definitely is a fragrance here. So there is one light layer. Ooh, okay, so far I like it. It's doing a really nice job blurring right here. and it's making my skin look really, really smooth. And despite the fact that it's matte, I don't feel like it's making my skin look dry. So far, so good. I'm just gonna pick up the rest from the back of my hand and apply it to this side of my face. You can see I'm using very little. All right, so there it is applied to the bottom half of my face. So now I'm gonna take the 020, same brush, and I'm gonna apply it to my forehead area since that's deeper in skin tone. And I am gonna bring it down to combine with the 010. I really like this brush. It's very, very soft, but it is very effective at like blending in the foundation. I think it looks really nice. There's no like streaks or anything. All right, there's the foundation applied. I think obviously it's a matte foundation. I don't think you can see much glow to my skin at all, but I think it looks really nice so far. Only time will tell. I think with the other two that I tried that I mentioned, the Tom Ford and the NARS, those both started out looking really nice too. So it's really going to depend on how this wears during the day. So let's move on. I'm gonna apply the concealer that they sent me. This is the Radiant Corrector for Eyes in Ivory. This is one that I have had and loved for a very long time. So I think it's nice to have a new one. So it's one of those brush tip applicators with the push button at the bottom. Always takes forever. So I'm just gonna dab some underneath, and I really, really enjoy this concealer. It is so creamy, and it has, for me, like a decent amount of coverage. It's very, very moisturizing. And I generally just use my finger to kind of blend this in, but they sent over their concealer brush. So I'm gonna use this and see how this works. Again, this brush is synthetic haired, and it did a really nice job blending in. Again, I don't see any like brush strokes or anything. And it's definitely giving me a little bit more like precision than my finger would. Like I'm able to get right up into my lash line and blend the concealer in. So that's nice. All right, so I'm sitting here trying to figure out if I should put on any powder because this is a matte foundation. I don't feel like I need to in terms of appearance, in terms of like needing to like kind of maybe mattify a foundation that's a little bit too glowy. It doesn't feel tacky necessarily, but I do feel like it doesn't feel matte necessarily either. So maybe I will powder just like my cheek area a little bit just to prepare for like other powder products that I'm going to put on top. So I'm just grabbing some of the Clé de Peau loose powder and just lightly brushing it on my cheeks. I'm using a brush that I believe is discontinued. This is a Shiseido powder brush. It's kind of like a flat paddle brush. And I don't know if it's been discontinued or just difficult to find here in the US, but I have not seen this one for sale in a while. If I do, I will definitely link it down below in my description box because it is a really nice, like light, fluffy type of brush to give you a really light application, which was exactly what I was looking for today. So just a really light dusting of powder. And if you guys don't know this about me and Clé de Peau, this was, I think, the first product I tried from them that I fell like head over heels in love with. And this was kind of like my gateway into loose powder. So this is by far one of my like most favorite Clé de Peau products. So next I'm gonna go in with their cream blush. This is in the shade number 4, and I think they only have 4 shades, but this is another one of my favorite products from Clé de Peau. And I'm going to be saying that a lot in this video, but their cream blushes are just really, really beautiful. I'm going to go in with my Smashbox cream cheek brush, and I'm just going to swirl it in the pot here, and then just kind of pounce it on my cheeks here. These Clé de Peau blushes have the most like natural, diffused look to them, yet they have like just the slightest hint of a sheen. You can actually probably see it in the tub here. It's so slight. It's like really nothing too bright. It's just really, really natural. I love it. Love it. And it goes on beautifully with a finger, brush, over powder, under powder. It's such a standout product. So that is the Clé de Peau cream blush in number 4. And I think I am going to add a little bit of bronzer just to warm up my skin a little bit. So I have the Clé de Peau Bronzing Powder Duo number 1. It's got such a beautiful sheen. It's got such a beautiful tone too. It has like just a slight kind of like peachy undertone. So it gives you a lot of like beautiful warmth without too much of like that orange kind of tone. So I've got my Sonia G Face Pro brush, and I'm just going to go between the two here. And you can actually probably see it on the brush a little bit better in the pan, like the peachy undertone I was just talking about. And then for highlight, I have not used this in so long, and it's such a beautiful highlight. So this is their Luminizing Face Enhancer, and most of them are very, very subtle. I would say this one, which is number 18, has like the brightest kind of sheen to it. So if you want like a beautiful kind of like mid-range kind of highlight, nothing where like you can see it from outer space, but nothing too subtle, I think this is a really good one. And if you mix all of the shades in here, so you have like some cream, peach, and then like a cooler like light blue tone, if you mix them all together, you just get something really kind of like champagne and neutral. You get something really kind of, I don't know, like a vanilla kind of tone. Isn't that pretty? It's so like silky and satiny. It just looks like a satin ribbon. Like it has that kind of sheen to it. Again, nothing like hyper metallic. It's just so smooth and silky looking. So again, this one is number 18. And like I said, all the other ones that I've tried out of this Luminizing Face Enhancer line, really beautiful, but even more subtle than this. All right, next up, I have the CLE DE PEAU Eyebrow Pencil, and I have this in the shade 204. So these are refillable. So the color name is actually on the cartridge. And the shape of this pencil is like an oval, which is really interesting. So I'm just going to fill in a bit here. And this pencil is definitely on the waxier side. So it's nice and mistake proof. You really have to press down to get like a dark line. So I just like grazing this over my eyebrows here. And just a little in the front here. And then on this side we have a spoolie. I'm just gonna brush that out. Very, very natural brows when you use this pencil. So I do like that a lot. But next up we've got eyeshadow, and I have not used this quad in so long. And I actually have one of these like face palettes from CLE DE PEAU. So you can actually pop out this cheek duo, this blush duo, and this like quad and put in like whichever one you want. So all of their compact products, like the eyeshadows and the blushes, they're refillable, which is really cool. So I'm gonna use this quad, which is the Baby Universe quad. That's the name of it, Baby Universe. And I'm going to do one of my super simple looks. So I'm just gonna grab this shade at the very end here on the right-hand side. And I've got my Chikuhodo GSN 9 brush. And I'm gonna sweep this all over. It has a really pretty like satin sheen. And then I'm gonna take a big fluffy brush. So I've got my Sonia G Jumbo Blender brush, and I'm gonna go into the lighter shade over here. So the second one in from the left. And I'm going to drag that across the top there and just blend that out. And then I'm just gonna grab that Chikuhodo GSN 9 brush again, go into that first color that I used all the way on the right-hand side. And I'm just going to dip the tips of the bristles in and then just drag this along the lower lash line. So as for mascara, I did have a CLE DE PEAU mascara, but I have decluttered it because it was very old and I have not replaced it. So I am going to be using the M Cosmetics mascara today. Again, this is a lab sample. It normally comes in like a lilac tube. And this is a tubing mascara. And it really has like a nice light fluttery effect for my lashes. And I thought that would be a nice match to this kind of soft makeup look. And it does such a good job holding my curl. All right, and last but not least, I'm going to use their lipstick in color number 1, Bamboo. This is one of my favorite lipsticks of all time. I don't know why I don't use it more often, but it has the most beautiful nude color. It's so neutral and I love it. And I really need to use it more often, but it is so wonderful. All right, so there is my finished look using all, mostly, except for mascara, all Clé de Peau, but I am doing a full day wear test for this foundation. So I will be back to let you know how it is wearing. So far, I'm really, really loving it. It is definitely matte as promised, but I don't feel like it is looking dry at all. And that's all I really want from a matte foundation on my dry skin, is a matte finish, but not drying. So fingers crossed that it continues to wear well, but let's go ahead and take a look at my first check-in. Hi, I am standing here in natural light. It is about 2 p.m. So I've had this makeup on for about 5 hours now, and I'm really impressed. I'm so happy with this foundation so far. I'm gonna do a close-up here, but can you see how smooth my skin looks and how like nothing is going on with the foundation in terms of, I don't know, strange sort of texture or kind of like sinking into like lines or anything. Like everything is looking really, really good. And even though it has an SPF 20 and it's a titanium dioxide SPF, there's been no strange like oxidization or anything. Like the foundation shade has been very, very consistent. I am loving this, and it feels like really good on the skin. It doesn't feel like it's drying in any way. So I am very, very happy with this so far. So let's go ahead and take a look at my final check-in. Hello, it is 6 o'clock in the evening, and I just tried to take some like natural light, like photos of myself and shoot a little bit in front of natural light, but the natural light here is so off because all of the smoke from the California wildfires has basically come over to Las Vegas, and we've been getting like alert after alert all day of like bad air quality. And when you look outside, it looks like there's like yellow, almost like a yellow tinted smog in the air. It's so crazy. And the sun in the sky looks like fluorescent orange, like you can look directly at it. That's how much smoke there is. Anyway, so we are left with my studio lighting here, but I can tell you that I am so happy with this foundation. I cannot believe I have finally found a matte foundation that works with my dry skin. It has not faded strangely. It has not kind of like dried up or worn away in any strange way. And like I mentioned in my first check-in, there hasn't been any oxidization. Like the shade has been very, very consistent. And I think it just looks great. I do feel like a bit of my natural oils has kind of come through in the T-zone. I did apply, you know, some highlighter that you guys saw in the first part of this video, but I do feel like this part of my face looks a little bit shinier than when I started. So some of my oils are definitely coming through. So if you are looking for a matte foundation to stay matte, very matte all day, this one may not be for you. But I personally don't mind this. It has stayed matte in, I guess, the areas that I think are important. Like here on my cheeks, my nose still looks matte. There hasn't been any breaking up of the product around my nose or around my mouth. I'm like really, really impressed. And I think it looks great on my forehead. I don't see like any texture or breaking up. So what I'm gonna do is do like a zoom, and I'm just gonna pan from my forehead down to my chin so you guys can get a closer look at it. But I am so happy with this. And when I was kind of inspecting my face all day and making sure that it was staying matte, I was really becoming very, very nostalgic for like the early 90s. I remember there was a Chanel foundation that a roommate of mine used, and it smelled like paint, and she was like lily paper white, and she would put this foundation on and it would make her just look so dead. I wish I could remember what kind of foundation it was, but it came in like a round jar. And anyway, it was so matte. And back in the early 90s, that's what you wore. You wore like really, really matte foundation. And I remember always wanting to find a matte foundation that would work for me, because even back then I just had dry skin and it looked terrible, terrible on my skin. And now, like 25 years later, I finally have found a matte foundation that works on my dry skin. Amazing. So big thumbs up for this foundation, and I think it's just gonna be such a mood this fall. I really feel like I am wanting like more of a matte look, the cool toned like eyeshadows, the cool toned like lip, just a really like true to life grungy look I feel is coming on for fall. So anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.